All right, namaste. Thanks for logging on and being here. Monday evening, start of the week, start of the month, February 1st. So is tomorrow Groundhog Day, right? February 2nd? Not today, tomorrow. Yeah, it's on February 2nd? Yeah. Okay. I mean, it seems like such an arbitrary holiday, but it's just kind of something fun. Yeah. Think about and just cross your fingers and wish for whatever it is that each one of us wishes for, either more winter or spring, which probably most people is early spring, but. So find a comfortable seat to start this evening. We're still in winter, even if the groundhog says that spring's going to come early for quite some time. And we're still in yoga and Ayurveda, the sister science to yoga Ayurveda, the Kapha season. But we are moving toward you get into the dry, cool part of winter, and then you start moving into the wet, cool part in latter part of the winter that moves right into spring, which, my goodness, all that rain we got certainly felt like spring, although it was much colder. So as you find your seat, you can shift a little bit and move as you need to. You can rock side to side or back and forth on the sits bones to find your center of gravity, where you just feel nice and grounded and the crown of the head can lengthen up. Let the hands relax where it's comfortable so that the elbows are underneath the shoulders, not pulling you forward in any way. And just begin to connect inside. Bring your awareness to the natural flow of the breath. It comes in through the nostrils and washes across the forehead, through the throat center, the heart, and feel it on down along the spinal column. Imagine that it travels all the way to the base of the spine, and then allow it to release back up and out. So kind of just tap into this smooth, full breath without creating tension, without pushing or pulling air. Instead, it's just allowing it to be complete from beginning to end on both the inhale and the exhale. Just being aware that you're not trying to take in more air or cutting off the exhale or cutting it short in any way, or whatever. It can be other patterns that you have. That just kind of tends to be one that a lot of people gravitate towards, but your pattern of breathing through the day might have some other qualities. And so we want to move toward that natural, smooth, even breath. If the throat feels tense at all, just try relaxing the back of the tongue down and let the back roof palate of the mouth lift, and even swallow if you need to. And then from this centered place, if there's an intention you'd like to set for your practice this evening, you can do that now silently to yourself. Just anything that maybe drops in. And I'll set the group intention that you listen to the sensory information and feedback you're getting from your body and your breath first, and to the teacher second. So you are your own teacher first, and I'm here just guiding you through a practice and offering some suggestions for possible effects or outcomes that I think you might want to have to bring the body toward a state of equanimity, but you also play an active role in that. And your role is really, really important because you are all this inside experience that you're having. I don't know what that is, what's happening in any given moment, and you do. So you're getting the most current and the most relevant information. So we'll just start to move really smooth, and you can go side to side, sort of making like an S or snaking movement with the spine. Then start to move in different planes. So it's like you begin to circle while snaking the spine or moving it kind of a wave-like motion, placing the hands however they feel supportive. So for me, once I start to move in different planes, it feels more supportive to sort of place my hands down on the thighs and let my elbows come out to the sides because my arms are kind of long. And be sure you switch directions once you start to circle. So this is giving you the opportunity to start to add movement and still allow the breath to be there, being sure that once you start moving, you're not moving into pattern breathing again of pushing and pulling air or cutting it short in any way. And then coming back to center, bring the hands to the heart in prayer. And just open up the arms like you're spreading your wings and just lift the face to the warmth of the sun. So ever so slightly. Then bring the hands together. Let the shoulder blades press away from the spine and the gaze look down. And do that just a few more times, in and out, opening and closing, lengthening through the crown of the head and grounding in the sits bones in both directions with the spine. So both as you kind of back bend and as you slightly round. So one more time, an extension. Keep the arms kind of with the elbows soft so you don't have to feel so rigid. Don't have to feel so fixed. And then come back to Anjali Mudra, sitting up tall, hands at the heart in prayer. So this is Anjali Mudra, if you don't know, hands at the heart in prayer. And then we'll twist to our right. So just bring your hands around, let your gaze follow. Enjoy a couple more breaths here, and maybe the exhale guides you a little bit deeper, but this is just your warm up, so it's not a requirement. Listen to your body. And then coming around to center and twisting to your left, bringing the arms around for support. Allow the breath to flow. We'll take about 2 to 4 breaths here, just depending on the length of your in and out breaths, and maybe the exhale guides you a little deeper. And coming back around to center, and we'll side bend over one direction, sweeping the opposite arm up, using the bottom arm hand for support, and then up and over and switch sides. So the first couple times when you're doing a pose, go ahead and switch again. When you transition, it might feel like a little bit clunky, but after the body does it once or twice, it knows what to do, and you should be able to smooth out those transitions. So it feels like one flowy movement. And when you're back over to that first side, go ahead and hold it and enjoy a couple breaths in stillness. Notice how the exhale offers kind of like a support and anchoring to the pose, or even like you could, again, perhaps deepen on a really internal level. And the inhales are just like this constant reminder to continue to lengthen through the spine and the side bodies because they kind of bring in natural expansion. Then switch over to that second side and hold. Enjoy here for a few breaths. And again, notice the effect that that constant steady flow of breath offers to your pose. It really is not probably something I would see, the external observer would see, but there are a lot of little changes occurring on an internal experience. And then coming back up to center, bring the legs out in front for Dandasana. And just a gentle stretch for the backs of the legs. So point the toes and then draw them up towards the knees, and notice where you feel that throughout your legs, the stretching and shortening of different muscles. And then you can circle both directions. They can go the same way or opposite ways, and really massage the backs of the heels into the floor. Helps to kind of work with the end of the fascial train there. And then sit up tall, just enjoy the pose here, again in stillness for 2 to 4 breaths. Finding that place of effort that is just the effort required so that you feel supportive in your pose. It feels awake, enlivened, not neither like asleep and stagnant, and not tense or overworking, just somewhere right in the middle where you just feel enlivened and supported. And then sweep the legs out wide, wide-legged. When you just feel a natural infeel, like, yep, I could probably leverage them or force them a little bit wider, but when you just feel that natural stopping point, that's good right there. And then we'll bend one knee toward the body, bend the other knee toward the body, and then press them back out. So do that a couple times, sitting up tall, feeling that flexion in the hips. And again, when you transition after a couple times, try to now just make it smooth. And when you feel the hips beginning to fatigue, which they do actually start to do in this, it's kind of interesting, hold in stillness with the legs straight. See if that has allowed you to come forward on the sits bones a little bit more by just kind of wiggling in and out, and feel the pelvic bowl wanting to tilt forward just slightly, working toward a forward bend, and just perched on the fronts of the sits bones. Take one more breath here and just feel the whole core cylinder awake. And we'll inhale and sweep the arms up nice and slow and smooth. And then exhale, hinge forward a little bit, pouring that pelvic bowl forward toward the floor a little bit more, and release the hands down. So when you feel the pelvic bowl not going forward anymore, just release your hands wherever they can reach. Continue to breathe so that your pose has support from inside. And if this hamstring stretch is too intense, go back to bending the knees slightly or a lot. And even if you just wanted to hinge forward or let the pelvic bowl tilt forward or pour forward a little bit more between the legs, bending the knees can also offer you that opportunity. So if I bend my knees and press the elbows on the insides, I can kind of feel my pelvic bowl pour forward a little bit more. And shoulders, relax the tops, the shoulders away from the ears, and feel the shoulder blades press away from the spine. And you can kind of round the upper spine here and allow the head to drop, and just get a gentle stretch for the back of the neck if you want. Shouldn't feel any sharp pain or tension in doing that. So you can always just stay with the neck in line with the spine if that's a better option for your body. Be sure that the fullness of breath remains the same in whatever pose you're in. And that's a pretty good clue from your body that if you can breathe there, you can be there. And then use your hands to kind of baby step back toward the body to help you sit upright. The knees are bent. You can straighten them once again. Bring the soles of the feet together, knees out in Baddha Konasana. And let's just kind of come up and down, like flutter your butterfly. I'm going to put my hands here. You can try that. I'm not pushing on my knees. It's just a way to help me stay upright. It's like just enough for me to use my hands a little bit and help me sit tall. And again, just see if that helps you kind of perch forward on the sits bones a little bit more, but also begin as you release the knees down each time, feeling the groin and hip flexors soften a little bit. And then you can just hold there in Baddha Konasana, and let's enjoy this pose sitting upright for 4 breaths. Again, go back to focusing on the core cylinder. So it's like all the muscles, like if you imagine the inside of your spinal column and all the muscles in your body that are attached there are connected to the ones that are attached there. So that's a pretty big area. Just feel everything kind of waking up as it supports you to sit upright here. One last breath. And then shake the hands to the outsides of the knees and help the knees come together. And we'll go ahead and turn towards hands and knees, grabbing a blanket for cushion if you want. And just rock the hips again, side to side, and then allow the rest of the spine to kind of snake on out from there. Just some wave-like movements side to side, and then go right into cat-cow. So then the wave-like movement is sort of going to the front and then the back, like when we were seated. Let the breath just flow naturally. Just moving at the pace that allows you to move smoothly and kind of smooth out some of the clunkier areas of the transitions and the poses. And go right back into long spine and side to side snaking. So wave-like movements here now. And come back to center, adjusting the knees and the hands if you need, where they feel supportive to you. And sweep the left leg back and up. You can point the toes at the wall behind you, then point them down like we did when we were seated. And just feel all the muscles in the legs enlivening, and then do some circles behind you, finding a place where the leg feels evenly toned and hips level, and then pause with the toes pointing down. Enjoy a breath or two here in half bird dog. And then lower the toes to the mat, and we'll sweep that leg along the ground out to the outside of the body. Making a little rainbow, like you're painting it on the floor with your toes, and then bring it back in. And see if you can do that with keeping the hips level. Anytime, adjusting the hands when you need to feel like the most support, and maybe the shoulders start to creep up in the ears, that's a sign that there's an area of the body overworking. So maybe just an adjustment of the hands will keep everything evenly working. Do that one more time, out to the side, and then forward, and float the leg up again. Just one breath here, and see if you notice any changes in the core area. Again, new things online maybe. Come back to hands and knees and float your right leg back and up. Hip level as best as you can feel your way into, and then point the toes to the wall behind and then down to the earth. Do that a few times in and out. Then circle all directions. Sometimes I even can like roll my femur. So really kind of roll the leg, but not open the hip. And that's sort of interesting to see that I can do that independently, like roll it around in its socket. Hold for a breath and half bird dog, 2 breaths. Toes pointing down, and then lower, toes on the mat or floor, and sweep that leg, painting that rainbow out to the side, over to the right, only as whatever your range is, it's fine, and then come back. And do that a few times, trying to keep the hips level as best you can. And it's okay if like the toes pop up, because my toes will pop up, but my hips can still remain level. So just be aware of that. Just pay attention to what your hips are doing. And then come back to center and float one last time for a breath and see if you notice any changes through your belly, through your core in the front and the back. Good, come back to center. Let's sit back in child's pose. After that little bit of working all around the hip musculature, close around the joint there, might feel pretty good now to just release back into this deep hip flexion. Find that place of stretch that also feels like balanced action, just like our actions of effort. We're going for that place of equanimity. We want to find that place in our when our muscles are lengthening too, right? When we're stretching. And no, it can be hard to move away from some of our patterns thinking like, well, if this feels good, then a lot feels like, right, must be like super good. But I mean, maybe, but not always. Then you can rise back up, come just to your elbows this time, setting down elbows and forearms and on the knees. And we'll sit back, hips towards the heels, excuse me, and then glide forward. Just bring the shoulders to the wrists. And then do that again, sliding back and come forward. Bring the shoulders like they're going to align over the wrists and then press back again. Third time. So you're just kind of toying with starting to bring body weight into your forearms. Thumbs can face up, or you can try palms up, or you can interlace the fingers. So I want you to find that supportive base for yourself. And we'll come forward on that fourth time and hold. So your booty's kind of up in the air behind you. It's like you're doing this bow, reaching your chin. Don't actually move it, but sort of like you're gonna place your chin down on the floor out in front of your mat. And your spine's at this sort of angle down toward the earth. If you start to feel the front ribs sinking and you're over compressing in the lower spine, just pull the bottom front rib cage slightly up into the body, just slightly, just hug it in and relax the shoulders out of the ears and release some of the compression in the lower spine here. Take one more breath in this awkward little partial cat bow, we call it. And then press back again to child's pose. So you might have to inch your arms back a little bit, but maybe not. Find your pose and take whatever arm position feels right to you. You can even take the arms back along the sides and give them a full rest from being overhead. That's quite a bit of work on the shoulders there to stabilize when you're bringing body weight into them. People don't give weight-bearing poses, I think, enough credit. But if you think about how much you weigh in total and know that the majority of that body weight is in your upper body. So like, think about that. Think about what you're putting on your upper body. Do you ever just go pick up that amount of dumbbells in the gym? Probably not. And then come forward, hands and knees this time. And let's press back into downward facing dog. Try to just glide and float the hips up and back. So you can come down and do that again, just to be sure that you're not trying to brute force push with the arms. Instead, it's your hips actually lifting you up. Because that's, again, one of those heaviest points of your body. And there's some large musculature there that can actually move in that direction. So let it wake up and pull you up to the sky against gravity, and then you can wiggle around. And it just changes the pose, hopefully, so that you don't feel so much strain through the shoulders, wrists, and elbows. And you can come forward. Again, play with that body weight, bringing the shoulders over the wrists, and then press back. And it's not necessarily going for a perfect plank. I just want you to start to bring weight into the hands, shoulders relaxing. It's almost like your elbows have to draw towards your heels. Press back again. And we'll just do that a third time, experimenting with bringing your body weight into your hands, into your upper body. Shoulders relax. Tops of the shoulders just relax. They go down and wide, and one more downward facing dog. Then lower the knees. Good. Step the left foot forward. And if you have a hard time with that transition of stepping forward, a tip that I'm finding useful is to first stretch that leg back, just like a lot of times if we do it from downward facing dog, you know how people like to lift it up. You can do that here when you're down on your knees. Just lengthen that left leg back and kind of bend in the right hip and sit back a little bit. And then do it as one smooth momentum movement. Yeah, and then let's rock back and forth. So if you have blocks, they're kind of nice here, depending on your proportions for rocking into this hamstring stretch and forward again. And then same thing, try to make the transition to step back smooth. So I walk my foot out to the side a little bit, rock back, rock forward, and on that second rock back, slide it back and just kind of use some fluid momentum. Give it a try and see if that works for your body like it works for mine. And then we'll do the right foot forward. So again, you can lengthen it back, bend in the left hip, and then smoothly bring it forward as one long motion. And then do your hamstring stretch and hip flexor stretch in and out. Again, using blocks under the hands if you want to come up a little bit higher. It's just a way to offer some more space for your body if you feel like you need it. Doesn't mean you can't do the poses good as somebody who touches the floor. These are arbitrary things. And then you're going to do one smooth movement. So again, if you can just step straight back, you go for it. If you want to walk your foot out to the right a little bit, lean forward and back and let it sweep back. So it's like both hips are kind of doing that together. And go right into lumbar nerve glide. 4 inches gliding forward and 4 inches gliding back. Doing your best to keep your spine long and neutral, so with its natural curves at the neck and the lower spine into the body, and a nice flat-ish spine at the thoracic. It does have slight curve, and we're being completely anatomically correct. And one more forward, one more back. And when you come back to center, go right into cow. So extension, and then into cat. Then come to neutral or flat spine and sit back into devotional pose. And we'll repeat that 2 more times. Lift up and go right into cow. So extension or back bend, round into cat, and back into devotional through your neutral. Last one, rising up, cow and cat. Sit back in devotional. Enjoy a couple breaths here. So this time rising up to hands and knees again. And then walk your hands slightly out in front, so away from the body. So you're kind of at an angle with the arms. And we're going to do that cat bow we did on the forearms, but up on our hands. So really want the shoulders up here at the top. Relax from the ears and feel the shoulder blades go down like you're sliding them into back pockets and kind of wide on the back. So you feel all this musculature around the shoulders and shoulder blade and the side body just enlivened and awake. And then you bend the elbows like you're going to slide them along your side body. So it's not like a military push-up where the elbows go out to the sides. You bend them like you're going to scrape them along your sides and try like you're reaching your head, your chin toward the floor out in front of your mat. So your body's at this angle with your booty up and then press back up at that angle. So like, I don't know, in between baby number 1 and baby number 2, I could actually like touch my chin to the ground. You don't have to do that. So any range, even if you just go like here and then you just press back up. I only want you going as far as you feel those shoulders stabilize. The moment they start to like wing out or round forward, just press right back up, restabilize, and do it again. So do like 3 to 5. If you only want to do 3, that's fine. Just make them really smooth and really strong. I think my hardest part now is letting my booty stay up in my spine at an angle, honestly. Baby number 2 is like trying to get all that core musculature back online still, sort of crazy. And then sit back in child's pose. Let me see one, Susan. Show me one of your cat bows. I didn't get to look at you. Do one. I'm going to watch Susan here in the studio do hers. Wow. When you press back up, stay at more of an angle. You had the angle here, and then when you came up, you kind of used your hips like that. See if you can just, so like you're going to down dog, let your hips pull you back. Yeah. Feels good, huh? Yeah, it feels stronger. Good. Thanks everybody at home for letting me look at Susan sit back in child's pose, everybody. I just wanted to look at hers because I know she wants to really understand that. And last breath. And we'll rise up just enough so that you can transition onto your back. So just turn however you want. You can leave that blanket there if you want, or take it out if you had it under your knees. I don't think it should hinder what we're going to do here if you just wanted to leave it. And then plant your feet. Just pick up your right foot and set it down, and pick up your left foot and set it down till you feel your feet placed where they feel supportive. So if you have to do that a couple of times, you can. And let your arms relax out at a T, palms up. Just take a couple breaths here, moving from prone to supine. Just give yourself a little bit of, just enough time to acclimate. Your gaze is kind of out in the space now, but you really want to keep your awareness inside still. And then feel the feet just nice, evenly grounded in left and right foot. And then just slowly lift the hips up nice and smooth toward the ceiling. Doesn't have to be a huge range, and slowly set them back down. Just do your dynamic bridge a few times. Again, at first there might be like an obvious pause in that transition between hips going up and hips setting down. But after you've done it once or twice, smooth out that transition. There's just really a lot of stability work to be gained there, but also it's a place where everything kind of smooths out, even including like in your thought waves. So there's a lot to be gained for equanimity in smoothing out those transitions if you can. One more up with the hips and one more lowering. Cross your right knee on top of your left like you're crossing the legs, and just do a small, barely over to the right with the knees, and then bring them back, just going past the left hip with the knees, and back to center, over to the right again, just past the hips with the knees, back to center, over to the left, just past the hips. Now on these third, fourth, and so on passes, go a little bit, maybe like another inch farther, and come back to center and over to the left, and maybe another inch past the hips, and so on. With each pass, get a little bit just incremental and still making those transitions from left to right, switching directions smooth. So it's like one fluid, continuous movement. And so that helps your thought patterns to kind of smooth out as well. Last time to the right, smooth transition to the left, and you're going to hold there for a few breaths. You might be able to reach the floor with your foot, your top foot for support. I know some people will even be able to tuck that top foot over to the side to allow the knees even closer, but this is an option. Remember, it's a suggestion. Listen to your body. We want even our stretches to feel balanced. And then slowly bring the knees back up to center. Uncross the legs. Enjoy a breath here, just a pause. Then left knee on top of right. Slowly to the left first, just past the hips with the knees. To center and to the right, just past the hips. To center and toward the left. So one more time, again, very small. Same, just past the hips. And one more time to the right. And just that same small range. And then now each subsequent pass, you just go an inch, or maybe it's even just like a half an inch for you. Maybe it's an inch and a half, I don't know. This is whatever your mind can grasp. That's simple. And you're keeping the transitions smooth. Keeping the movement smooth and fluid, because this also allows for right effort or balanced effort. So take one or two more passes, one to the left, one to the right. And if you need one more before you hold over to the right, you can. So you've gradually come to your fullest expression of this twist. And maybe your foot hits the floor. Maybe it tucks to the side and touches the floor. Maybe it doesn't. It could be floating like mine. And just continue to breathe and focus on the smooth flow of the breath. And then knees slowly back to center. Uncross, plant the feet where they feel comfortable. Pause for a breath. Bring your right knee in toward the chest. Use your hands to just hold it there, bringing it either straight in or out to the outside of the body. You might even add a little bit of movements there, range to the hips if you want to. And you can straighten that left leg, just slide the left foot along the floor as you straighten that left leg if you're straightening it. Just kind of keeps enough activation through the muscles as you straighten. But again, hopefully it feels like it's still kind of participating, even though this pose is a rest. It's still an active rest. Meaning we're still, right? We're still awake, energized, and supported. We haven't gone to Shavasana yet, even though we're lying on our backs. When you bend into the left knee, do the same thing. Drag the heel along the floor of the mat as you bring it back to the body. Then plant your right foot, pull the left knee in. Use your hands just to help you hold it in place so that you can really relax those muscles, keeping them passive in the stretch. You could move the knee to the outside of the body or even circle it. And if you're going to straighten the right leg, press the heel into the mat as you straighten. And just keep that little bit of pressure in the back of the right heel, just as a way to stay grounded. And drag that right heel towards you, bending in the right knee, planting the foot, lower the left foot. Bring both knees now, one at a time, toward the chest. Clasp the hands on the parts of the legs that feels most accessible to you, and you can add some circles for massaging. Let's go in all directions. Doesn't have to make sense or be symmetrical, particularly if you're getting a little massage and you have one side that like needs a little bit more love than the other, because that can happen. And then make your way to Shavasana. If you're at home and want to dim your lights, turn on music or anything, use an eye pillow if you have one, or just a towel to cover the eyes. Yeah, put maybe your socks and your sweatshirt on. My feet got cold quick. Didn't even have my socks off till like the very end. Eee. I was out walking today because it was the first sunny day and calm in a while. So Genevieve and I went out for a walk, and I was looking at the trees and seeing that some of them were already kind of budding in this weird way, but they were still kind of like all hard on the outside. It's just one of those reminders around us of the death and rebirth cycles that are always occurring. And Shavasana is really that opportunity to retreat inward, really move away from the outside world. It does translate to corpse pose too, but it is a way to allow the infinite innate wisdom that each of us possesses to spring forth after we've allowed that time for um, refuge, stillness. It's really such a simple, easy, and beautiful thing that you can do for yourself. So sometimes you could just do this if you felt like you needed it, and just set a timer for yourself, 10 to 20 minutes, or if you have longer. And it really accomplishes quite a bit. It really can be a way to reach a really deep, restful state. And the body is such an amazing thing. It can accomplish quite a bit in this short time. So just feel yourself letting go of the outside world, letting go of your attachments to your physical body. Allow yourself to release deeper and deeper within yourself, knowing that you're safe to do so. And that you can find refuge within your own self. Gradually come back to the flow of your breath. Feel the outer edges of your physical body. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Feel the body, the physical body awakening again. Like you're emerging from that place of refuge and still staying connected to the qualities of being inside and looking around from that place. Then, in your own way and in your own time, you can make your way to your comfortable seat. If you'd like, you can join me by bringing your hands to your heart in prayer. Bow your head. Just pause for a breath or two, taking stock of the effects that your practice has had for you. You're welcome to join me, closing the practice with the simple blessing of peace, the Om, and then 3 Shantis. May all beings know peace. May all beings everywhere be healed. And may all beings know the beauty of their own true nature. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you can make it for Wednesday night back here again and same time. And then this Saturday, I'm teaching that Shakti Flow class, Exploration Through Movement at 3:30. It's $15 drop-in you can do in studio or virtual. That should be a fun Saturday afternoon class. Enjoy your evening.